Hey, Wixman Ray here, also known as Weatherman Ray. That's what the Wix means. Hey, welcome to another edition of our weather updates here on the Wixman Ray channel. Um, Relatively quiet weather for most of the U.S. We've got a front moving across the east coast there, and you're looking at the satellite here, and you can see a lot of cloud cover from the entire Northeast up through parts of the Great Lake into Michigan. They're getting some snow showers underneath this stuff in Michigan and the UP a little bit, and also back up and off the lakes up here in New York and northern Ohio near Cleveland. So otherwise, just some clouds. Pretty nice across the south for the most part. There was some areas of lower cloud. That's what this stuff is that you see kind of disappearing as we go through the loop here. That was some lower stratus. Maybe a little fog was under that. It looks like there's some out there in parts of West Texas and eastern New Mexico, a little sliver of it. And then out west, this is mostly just some high level clouds and some mid-level cloud underneath it blocking out the sun in some places. Think there was a little bit of precip trying to show up in northern Colorado, but not too much with it. Nothing too significant out of that. These are just weak pieces of energy kind of moving across the uh, the flow through this part of the United States. So relatively quiet, other than this storm system, this frontal. It's actually a cold front that's been dipping south into the southeast today. So all right. So looking at our observations, we'll kind of zoom out here and go. We'll go from west to east, so pretty quiet. There's a little bit of clouds, mostly, let's see what level. This is mostly high cloud up in Seattle and Eugene, so they're getting some filtered sunshine. It's warming up into the 40s, some upper 30s still this morning. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning out here, 11 o'clock mountain time. You can see that little bit of showers over the mountains, possibly, if it's even reaching the ground. Really, not much to say there. Temperatures are pretty warm in the lower elevations in the 50s out here. It's warming up. Going to be a nice day. It's This morning it's 53 in Denver and Salt Lake's 59. We got 50s across northern Nevada and 60s and 70s. And almost 80 in Vegas, 79 down in Vegas. California's got nice weather, 60s, except along the coast. A little bit of fog there around LA and Santa Barbara. So, and San Diego, some lower clouds moving from the marine layer there. But it's already getting pretty hot across the southwest here into Southern California into the deserts, already up into the 80s. I believe they'll be up into the hundreds today, triple digits again. So very warm again out there. Summer's already started out there for the most part. Yeah, so pretty warm this morning across New Mexico, 60s, 50s and 60s, some 70s showing up. We got 60s and 70s across um, Texas, so nothing too bad really. There was this lower cloud that's out near Clovis, New Mexico, and yeah, out in that area, and Plainview, Texas. So there were some lower clouds. What we got going on here is we got this easterly flow, and this is rising in elevation, so we call that upslope. And typically, upslope, if there's enough moisture, you'll get some clouds developing, even fog sometimes. So yeah. But pretty quiet all across the south. We're already warming into the 70s and 80s back here. A little cooler up in Tennessee in the 50s, almost 60 now. As we move up into the Central Plains, a little chilly this morning. It was in the 30s, but now it's warming up into the 40s. I think they're supposed to get up into the 50s or 60s in this part of the world as the southerly flow returns. Um, yeah, still a little cool up in through Iowa and up into this area in the 30s this morning, 30s and 40s, but no Arctic air to speak of. So here's some snow showers up here in parts of Michigan, even up in the UP. Just some light stuff, light snow showers. So temperatures are ranging from 30 to mid to upper 30s. So most of it's just snow. and a little bit coming off the lakes into Buffalo and Cleveland and Rochester, those areas. But pretty cloudy all through the Northeast, so it's in the 20s and 30s. That's actually what getting early afternoon now out there, so they're not going to see a whole lot of warmth out here. They may get into the 40s in a few locations. A little bit of rain, spotty rain here and there, out in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, but even in New York City, a little light rain, but that looks pretty light, so nothing too significant with that. Yeah, so relatively quiet. We do have a cold front that's kind of dragging up through North Carolina here. You can see the temperature difference. It's 60s and 70s north of it, and it's already in the 80s in South Carolina. So this front will kick off some showers and thunderstorms down into this area, parts of the Carolinas and parts of eastern Georgia today. All right, so we'll move on to this here. So we'll look at our upper level pattern here. We got a pretty quick moving west to east flow. That's why the weather's fairly quiet. This is that dip. We're seeing this dip, and this is kind of a reflection of where the jet stream's running near the Canadian-U.S. border, and then it kind of dips down into the Great Lakes and up over the Northeast. So we got this trough of low pressure with some little shortwave energy. That's what we call it in weather, in meteorology. And that's what's kicking off these snow showers up in Michigan and even off the lakes here. We got a little energy. We got this little bit of energy out here in the mid-Atlantic, and that's what's supporting that cold front, and we'll see that'll help kick off some showers and thunderstorms. Otherwise, I mean, systems are going to be generally moving pretty quick. We have 100, it's not shown here, but up in southern Canada, this is driven by 170 knot jet maximum up in this area. So very hot, and that's at about 35,000 feet up in the air. That's where the jets fly to and fro for the most part in those general parts of the atmosphere. Um, and then across the south from Texas over through the desert southwest, we kind of got some upper level ridging that kind of extends over towards the southeast a little bit. So that's what's causing all this warm weather down here and dry conditions. So there's a little weak low pressure off the Baja, but that probably isn't going to cause any sig weather for the continental United States anytime soon, as far as what I've seen from the models. So yeah, so so this is this morning. So we'll kind of go through. So as we go into Tuesday, the pattern, you kind of see this trough progresses and moves off to the east on Tuesday, and then we got another little clipper, as we call it, or shortwave coming out of Canada, and it just kind of it skirts the Great Lakes, northern Great Lakes, and kind of it'll mainly produce some weather, a little bit of weather across the Northeast as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday morning. But back here at the west, we kind of see this high pressure developing over the desert southwest into the deserts of Mexico. And so this will keep the entire western part of the U.S. pretty dry, except for some moisture that'll stream into the up into the northern Rockies and Pacific Northwest. But so that'll keep it warm and dry out through here with this ridge of high pressure, and even into the Texas and parts of the plains, it'll have an influence, at least on part of the plains, is keeping the systems kind of east of them. So, and that's what we see. We kind of see this general troughing of low pressure out to the east. So we see some little disturbances. You see this yellows. This is little what we call vorticity, and these are just little pieces of energy, and they could produce some clouds, maybe occasionally some precipitation, but no big organized systems other than that stuff moving along the jet stream up through the U.S. Canadian border and into the Pacific Northwest. So as we move into Wednesday, yeah, you can see that energy kind of drops south into Washington State, a little bit into Oregon. So this area, Pacific Northwest, into the northern Idaho, parts of Montana, we'll probably see clouds and some precipitation as that system drags a little bit to the south. but same pattern. We do see this weak little thing kind of moving into Southern California. That looks like it'll happen during later on Wednesday and Thursday morning towards Vegas. So maybe some clouds. We'll see if it might kick up a shower or thunderstorm or not. But yeah, so it does kind of pick that up. So we're going into Thursday now, and we've got the same general pattern. It kind of flattens a little bit, but this ridge kind of expands across the entire south, from Arizona, California, all the way over towards Florida. So it'll be warm all across the southern half of the United States. So the jet will be running up here near the northern U.S. So all the cooler air will still be up north here as we go through most of the week. At least the periods of up here, it'll kind of, fluctuate a little bit, even in the Northeast, but that's generally where you're going to see the colder air. And then to Friday, it looks like we have a stronger system dipping down into parts of the northern plains, Great Lakes, and the Northeast. I think it's a cold front kind of moving south as we head into the end of the week and weekend. So, and you kind of see this trough kind of starts to sharpen or get stronger out here. Along the east coast, and then we got the ridge kind of building up through the higher pressures across the west, and then some moisture might start coming off the Pacific a little bit out here. We'll have to watch that as we head into the weekend. So yeah, maybe a little bit of precipitation, but it doesn't look like any major weather systems. Yeah, on Saturday, Friday into Saturday, maybe some stuff will come into California and parts of the Southwest, even up into Utah, Southern Nevada. So we'll take a look at the surface and see what they show us. So here we go. So so we'll get right started here. So this is our surface depiction. I mean, relatively quiet. Here's that front I told you about. It's off, kind of stretches into the Carolinas here this is by this evening. So you'll see showers and thunderstorms in this general area. They're not really expecting anything too strong out of these, so just your average thunderstorms. Otherwise, some lingering snow showers up here. It looks like this stuff up over Michigan will start winding down today as high pressure moves over there tonight. So some, lingering snow showers across the Northeast, staying cool up there. And this is tonight. So the front kind of starts dipping south into Florida, and then by Tuesday, showers and thunderstorms across Florida will be a good bet with that front dipping south. We have this next clipper. It's mostly going to stay in Canada. It might clip the UP of Michigan and then hit the north. I mentioned that earlier, late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Might get a little snow showers up in parts of the Northeast. But really that's going to have minimal effects. The only other thing to say for today is I kind of go back a little breezy across the plains, maybe 40, 45 mile an hour winds. So a little windy out here across the plains, high plains today for people that are living out here driving through this area. Okay, so then we have this next system back in the west, comes in on Tuesday. So bringing some rain, some high elevation snows for even into Wednesday. And then the first piece of energy kind of comes up out of Canada and I mean, it's right near the border, like International Falls might see some rain or snow, and up in the UP of Michigan, northern Michigan. But that's where it's going to stay. And then the Northeast again will get in on some more precipitation, rain and snow up there by Wednesday night and Thursday as that next system clips them there. And looks like it drags a little farther south by Thursday, so northern Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin, even North Dakota and Montana will get in on the action Wednesday and Thursday. Also got a front that'll drag through the northern Rockies into the Great Basin through here, and that even is, you can kind of see with all these are called isobars. They're kind of packed together in here. That means it's going to be a little windy through here. Maybe some localized high winds or something. So we'll have to keep an eye on that across, especially like Wyoming and parts of the plains here. So yeah, low pressure develops there on Thursday, late Thursday, but really the flows out of Mexico, so there's really not much moisture to contend with. We'll see all the rain up here across the north, so that's what I was hinting at. So looks like by Thursday, some showers and thunderstorms will break out across the Midwest, maybe over towards Missouri, even parts of eastern Kansas there, as we go into late Thursday into Friday, and that front drags south again through the East Coast with showers and thunderstorms, and a little bit of snow on the north end there in the Northeast, but yeah, nothing too significant out of that. So, um, I was going to mention on the Storm Prediction Center, yeah, so this is for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You got so Monday you got I'll show you. They got thunderstorms out here, like I mentioned, out here along the Carolinas and eastern Georgia, and then and then Wednesday and Thursday is just Florida. So I'm not even going to show you that. But this is day 4, so this is Wednesday. Yeah. Oh wait, no, Thursday. Day 4 is Thursday. So this is what they're painting. So that's what we saw. We saw that. Okay, if that'll stay there. So generally from Ohio through Indiana, Illinois, even to Missouri, there's a chance of some severe weather. Um, it's 4 days out, so you know, I would think it's more of a wind and hail event, but you can never rule out tornadoes. So as we get closer, we'll see what it looks like. But definitely look out for severe from Indianapolis. Cleveland will be on the edge. So anybody out here in Ohio and even down towards Champaign, Urbana area, and even St. Louis. Looks like Kansas City for now is out of it, but it did look like they might see some thunderstorms, and that's kind of what we saw here along this cold front. So, and it looks like a little breezy back behind the cold front, and definitely colder. So this whole northern U.S. up here, by the end of the week, looks like that'll start, out west on Thursday, and then by Friday, entire north is kind of on the cooler end of things. Probably getting them more back to normal, or maybe even slightly below normal up farther north, but because we've been well above average across parts of the United States, especially the West, and parts of the plains have had some crazy ups and downs. They've gone from 90 to 60 and then back up to 80 or whatever. So it's been a roller coaster. So I'm not going to go beyond basically Friday. So kind of want to keep this short. I do want to show you one more thing here. We'll just go over the temperature forecast for this week. So, and I'll just show you the maximum temperatures. So for today, I mean, generally cool back here. Like I mentioned, it'll stay up into the 30s, approaching 40s. As you get farther south, 50s down even into Kansas City and Omaha, it's going to be in the 50s, 40s up in Indianapolis and Chicago. So chilly up here. Probably a little bit below normal. I haven't looked at the temperature anomalies, which is tells you if it's above or below normal, but I would say it's close. So the rest of this area down here is probably closer to normal, 70s and 80s across the south. And then back here looks like, yeah, I mean, we might have near 100 in Phoenix, and down into Death Valley and the deserts of Southern California. So, but pretty warm across most of the West. The northern tier will be a little cooler, 50s, but nothing too crazy. So Tuesday, here we go. So we'll see some moderation back here. You see it kind of generally warms up for the most part, except for probably parts of, right up in this general area. But yeah, all through this area, I mean, you see, Omaha and Kansas City are getting near 70. So they're jumping up another 15, 20 degrees from today. So the heat's back on and above normal temperatures for most of the plains. So you can see it. And down here, that's where that cold front's dragging through. So it's cooling it off in the Carolinas, even down towards northern Florida. I mean, they're still in the 70s, but you can kind of see where that front is because it's 85, in the 80s south Florida. So yeah. And then as we go into Wednesday, in the west will still be generally the same, hot, 70s and 80s in here, and then 90s to near 100 in Phoenix. Wednesday, there we go. I mean, it's heating back up. I mean, we're getting close to 90s up here and upper 80s in most of the plains. Even back here, it's kind of warmed up. I mean, it gets into the 50s in part of, like up near Rochester and Buffalo and parts of the East Coast are warming up. So the coldest area will be up in the northern Great Lakes, like northern fringe of North Dakota, Pacific Northwest, a little bit cooler, and then, cold up in Maine and the northern part of the Northeast there. But as we head into Thursday, yeah, it's still kind of mild back here, and you kind of see the very warm, near there probably should be some record highs probably this week again out in this general area or close to record highs. But you can see it starts to cool off here on Thursday up here across the north, like we mentioned, as this front drags through this whole area. So, you know, a lot of 50s in here, some 60s up in here, northern Utah, northern Nevada, and then we got 20s and 30s up farther north. So winter's still kind of trying to hold its grip up there. And Friday, yeah, there we go. So, I mean, you see that. I mean, generally from this whole part of the United States cools off again on Friday. And then Saturday, kind of the same trend. It does kind of moderate a little bit through here, but probably close to normal for a lot of these areas. But colder back in here. So the Northeast, I mean, some of it'll warm up Wednesday, Thursday into the 50s, but then back into the 30s. So spring was kind of teasing you, and then it said, okay, no, we're not over yet. Like I said, April, probably much better chances of getting warming up. So, but we'll see how it goes. So, anyways, that's all I've got. I appreciate you being here and for subscribing and liking and watching. We'll have more this week. Wixman Ray out.